And there's a lot more to work out in the week ahead. Let's get into it with this week's panel. Karen DeWitt is from New York State Public Radio, and Zach Williams is from City and State. Thank you both for being here.
Sure
Thank
thing.
you.
Really interesting week in terms of transparency in government. This is how we led the show this week. In Daryl's package that we just saw, we saw a little clip of Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin running away from the press. After a press conference he was in, the press tried to ask him questions.
Yep. Valiantly on Zach's behalf and others, as you can hear in that clip, trying to get him to answer.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
It's usually not that interesting in state politics. You know, you're not usually chasing people down corridors, especially Brian Benjamin, who kind of has a reputation as one of the more approachable members of the state Senate. And he's representing an administration that has put transparency at the top of the list in terms of what they want New Yorkers to identify them with. And yet the governor herself won't speak in public about her bail plan, and she kind of left her lieutenant governor out to dry. It didn't seem like he knew what to do.
Yeah, I agree. And I wonder, the thing about it is I think about this on my nights and weekends, about how the press strategy is coming from the Hochul administration as to whether, is this deliberate in the sense of like they're telling themselves, let's not be very open with the press, or is it just they're building the airplane while they fly it? What do you think, Karen?
I think it's her first big misstep that she's had. And I really think that she completely lost the messaging on bail reform changes, and now she's getting it from both sides. Because at first she was acting like she was going to take the lead of the legislature, wait for more data before deciding, and then all of a sudden there's this 10-point memo that's leaked to the New York Post that makes significant, I mean, it doesn't completely overhaul bail reform, but it makes some pretty significant changes. And then she waits 6 days before she talks about it in public. And I know Zach and I were at a press conference way back on Monday where we tried to get her to talk about it and said, you know, if this is your position, why don't you just make a public presentation? And she was saying, I don't want to negotiate in public.
And then she releases an op-ed in the Daily News defending her plan.
It drives me crazy. It drives, like, I could scream into this microphone that's on my lapel right now. It drove me crazy just to see that.
Well, I don't know. I actually take the other tactic. I find it kind of interesting because she's been doing so well. She's almost been Teflon. There's been little things. Certainly I've reported on things that with other politicians might blow up into something big, and she kind of goes on. Nobody pays any attention to it. But I was just going to say that this is like more serious, that she has to do budget negotiations with the legislature.
Right.
Up to now, it's been, you know, public appearances on her terms, her state of the state message, her budget, and this is really where you have to do the nuts and bolts of governing, and that's where it's showing that they haven't done this before. And like you said, they are building the plane while they're flying it, and now it's showing.
Yeah, and I lost the great thought that I had while you were talking, Karen.
I'm sorry.
But I would. No worries.
I have that effect on people.
But I would add that, you know, I think the governor, to give her credit, found the thought, is she does have a knack for really finding issues that resonate with New Yorkers beyond the people that are here in Albany. To-go cocktails, great example. She's making a big push down the line, down that final stretch of budget negotiations. She knows that New Yorkers, maybe even some at this table, like a to-go cocktail, and you know, some 1920s, 30s, 40s law shouldn't stand in the way, and that might help break her through. Unfortunately, with bail, it's not one of those issues that is just automatically popular, that you have and you have powerful interests that are pushing against her. I agree with you, this is kind of the first big misstep. She's had so many successful things, helping, you know, responding to the hurricanes, Ren, things have gone well, and now she's really being challenged at the hardest time of the year, 1 week before the budget deadline, and it just doesn't seem like her administration was quite ready for what they were putting out there.
Well, the legislative leaders, they don't want to do it. And it doesn't seem like she's convinced them yet. Like, they really champion the bail reform changes, and they really believe in them because there is evidence that shows Black and brown New Yorkers have been adversely impacted by bail. While whites can usually make bail and get out, Black and brown New Yorkers are stuck in jail. So they have legitimate reasons for this, and they don't want to take a step back. So, and actually, you know, I was thinking about this morning. They've done a budget way more times than Governor Hochul has.
Yeah.
And especially, you know, last year, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, he wasn't as involved with the budget process as he liked to have people to believe because his
there was
scandals.
Some other stuff going on.
Yeah, his scandals were beginning then. And so the legislature is getting better at driving this process. And it's just going to be really interesting in the next few days to see what
That's a
happens.
really interesting point. You know, we've seen in recent years, ever since the Democrats took over the state Senate, that there's been kind of a push to assert the power of the legislature, which on paper should be more powerful than the governor. They can override vetoes after all, but history shows that that never really happens. And I agree that the governor, months ago we were wondering, she's going to give away the store because of her election. She wants their support, but now she's not really facing as competitive a primary. Some might disagree with that, of course. But we do have to ask, what do the lawmakers want, and what is she willing to give in order to save face on bail, or maybe even get all of her changes? There are a few things in that plan that could be a basis for compromise: more money for discovery reform, more money for mental health, stuff like that. But I'm really wondering, and who I'm really watching are the state lawmakers, because every time they highlight something they want, I wonder maybe they'll get this in exchange for a little leeway with the governor.
Exactly, that's the game in Albany. It's I'll give you this and you give me that, and we'll have to see in the final days of the budget what happens. We have about 2 minutes left. I want to go over the budget, not really over the budget, but I want to talk about it in general, about what we know and what we don't know. So Karen, what are you looking at in the next few days in terms of what we know is going to be in the budget, what we don't know is going to be in the budget?
Well, I'm mostly looking to see how much more the legislature will get away with spending than the governor has proposed. Because if you count it up, they want to spend about $6 billion more. And Hochul had a budget that was balanced for 5 years. So if there's more spending in that, we're going to end up with future deficits. I guess I'm looking for, is there going to be a gas tax holiday? I think they're going to have to do something about that. Ethics reform, it seems like that is not happening.
Right, this is the perennial issue. And I push it a lot in terms of when we talk to lawmakers, because it just seems like in one part of the year, there's always this outrage of ethics, ethics, ethics. And then we get down to the wire and everybody's like, ethics, what are you talking about? We don't have anything to do with that. So I think you're right. That's something to watch, maybe not during budget, maybe after budget. Zach, what do we know in terms of the next few days? Well, bail reform is on the line. We really don't know what's going to happen there. Mayoral control seems to be out of the budget. So New York City Mayor Eric Adams is going to have to fight to keep control of the city schools afterwards, maybe get a few years extension. But I think ethics reform is really something that's getting lost in the mix. This is a governor who came to power after a governor resigned because of ethics scandals. She's made transparency a big thing. She promised to change the ways of Albany. How many governors have we seen say that? And now she seems like the latest one to kind of give up on the 5-yard line, especially when she's spending her political capital on bail and not ethics reform.
Speaking of 5-yard line, Buffalo Bills Stadium. Is that going to be in?
The NFL owners are approving the deal. It seems like there could be a last-minute thing.
Yeah, is that going to be in? And what is that going to look like? How much is New York State going to have to pay for this stadium? Especially when you have a governor who's just an unashamed Buffalo Bills fan. It puts her in an awkward position.
Right, I guess on the plus side of looking at that, there's two sides, right? If you give $1 billion for the Buffalo Bills Stadium, great for Buffalo. If you don't do that, maybe that $1 billion could be spent elsewhere. So I think that's the big question in terms of that right now. But we are out of time. We got to leave it there. Karen DeWitt from New York State Public Radio, Zach Williams from City and State. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.